You believe charm and honeyed words are the currency of goodwill, the mark of a trustworthy soul. Machiavelli knew the raw, unvarnished truth. The deadliest snares are often gilded with just such false brilliance, the sweetest poison offered with a smile. What if the very hand that pats your back is measuring the precise spot for a dagger, its owner's mind already coolly calculating your downfall? To see through this charade, to spot every manipulator before their venom takes root, this is not merely skill, it is survival. We walk through a world that teaches us to value polite appearances, to accept at face value the declarations of others, to extend benefit of doubt as a virtue. Yet how often is this virtue simply a cloak for naivety, a weakness eagerly exploited by those who see life not as a cooperative venture, but as a battlefield for advantage? Machiavelli understood that men, in their essence, are often fickle, ungrateful, and masters of simulation and dissimulation. They will appear as angels if it serves their purpose, only to reveal the wolf when necessity bites. Consider, then, that human interaction is a grand theatre, and few are merely playing themselves. Most wear masks, recite lines scripted by their ambitions, their fears, their insatiable desire for more. The true art, the one that separates the ruler from the ruled, the victor from the victim, is the capacity to see past the costume, to discern the actor's true intent, to recognize the subtle tells of a mind engaged in the timeless art of manipulation. Are your eyes sharp enough for such a stage, or are you merely an unsuspecting member of the audience? Why do these architects of deceit so often succeed, weaving their webs around even the intelligent and the wary? It is because they understand human nature with a clarity that is often chilling. They know your desires, your vanities, your fears, your longing for acceptance, your reluctance to believe ill of those who flatter you. They play upon these common vulnerabilities as a skilled musician plays an instrument, composing a symphony of your own downfall, using the notes of your own inherent weaknesses. To not know yourself is to hand them the very keys to your undoing. Imagine the invisible threads they spin, these master puppeteers of the human will. A carefully placed word of praise to inflate your ego and lower your guard. A manufactured crisis to make you dependent. A whispered secret to create a false bond of intimacy. A subtle threat, veiled as concern. Before you are even aware of the game, you are entangled, your decisions no longer entirely your own. Your path subtly guided by a will that is not yours, towards an end that serves only them. How many of your past misfortunes were not chance, but design? The price of such ignorance, such failure to perceive the manipulator in your midst, is far steeper than mere inconvenience or fleeting disappointment. It is the currency of your ambitions, your resources, your reputation, even your very spirit, all siphoned away to feed their insatiable hunger. To be a victim is not some random stroke of ill fate. It is often the predictable result of navigating a world of predators without the eyes of a hawk and the cunning of a fox. A lesson Machiavelli etched in the annals of power for all time. But take heart, for what is understood can be counted. The insights of Machiavelli, stripped of centuries of misinterpretation, offer not a path to villainy, but a stark, practical illumination of the methods used by those who would control and exploit. To learn to spot these tactics, these subtle shifts in language and behavior, these telltale signs of a calculating mind at work, is to arm yourself with a power they do not expect you to possess, the power of instant recognition. Before we dissect the very anatomy of manipulation, before we unveil the timeless signals that expose every hidden agenda, allowing you to shield yourself and never again be their unsuspecting prey, reflect for a moment. When have you felt that chilling, almost imperceptible touch of unseen strings, a subtle guidance that was not your own, a game being played at your expense? Share that flicker of recognition, that uneasy memory, in the comments below, for the first crucial step in dismantling Their power is to drag its shadowy operations into the light. The stage has been set, the warning delivered in the stark, unyielding tones of Machiavelli himself. Now, let us walk deeper into this shadowed theatre of human affairs, where smiles can be daggers and oaths are often woven from the very air they displace. You have felt it, haven't you? That subtle shift in the room, that inexplicable chill when a charmer enters, the uneasy sense that beneath the polished veneer of civility, a colder, more calculating mind is at work, assessing your worth, your weaknesses, your utility to its own hidden agenda. This is the hunting ground of the manipulator, and their camouflage is the everyday. Consider the countless pleasantries that mask profound self-interest, the feigned empathy that serves only to gather intelligence, the offers of assistance that subtly indebt you. Machiavelli knew that men are more easily seduced by appearances than by realities, and the skilled manipulator is a master of this illusion, crafting a persona so agreeable, so helpful, that to suspect duplicity feels like a personal failing, a breach of some unspoken social contract. Yet is it not this very reluctance to question, this desire to believe in the presented surface, that lays the foundation for your own undoing? The pain of recognizing this pattern is acute, for it forces a re-evaluation of who and what you trust. It suggests that the open hand, the earnest gaze, the shared confidence, these sacred currencies of human connection, can be counterfeited with devastating skill. In the Machiavellian arena, to be unguarded is to be vulnerable. To be merely virtuous without being astute is to invite predation. Do you recall moments when your own goodwill was met not with reciprocity, but with a subtle, almost imperceptible exploitation, leaving you feeling used, yet unable to articulate precisely how or why? This journey is not an invitation to paranoia, but a summons to a necessary vigilance, a cultivation of that shrewdness Machiavelli deemed essential for any who wish not to be pawns in the games of others. As we dissect their methods layer by layer, you may feel a growing discomfort, a sense that the world is less benign than you had hoped. Embrace this discomfort, for it is the precursor to a more profound, more protective understanding, a clarity that can shield you from becoming the next unsuspecting victim in their silent, ceaseless campaigns. How then does the manipulator weave their intricate webs, ensnaring even the most cautious of prey? Their arsenal, as Machiavelli would recognize, is built upon a profound, if often cynical, understanding of human nature and the mechanics of power. Prime among their tools is the masterful cultivation of appearance over reality. They will strive to appear generous while hoarding their resources, compassionate while feeling nothing, pious while plotting their own advancement, knowing that the perception of virtue is often more valuable than virtue itself, especially when it disarms those they intend to use. They are students of your weaknesses, these calculating minds. Do you crave approval? They will lavish you with praise that costs them nothing. Are you fearful of conflict? They will subtly intimidate or create a sense of obligation that makes dissent feel too costly. Do you harbor ambitions? They will dangle the illusion of assistance, making themselves indispensable to your imagined ascent, all while ensuring your efforts ultimately serve their ends. Machiavelli taught that a wise prince understands the nature of his people. The manipulator, a prince in their own small domain, understands the nature of their target with chilling precision. Consider the art of division they so skillfully employ. Friendships are subtly eroded, alliances undermined, your trust in others carefully poisoned, until you find yourself isolated, with the manipulator positioned as your sole confidant, your only true ally. In this curated solitude, their influence magnifies, their narratives become your reality, or observe their calculated acts of generosity, designed not from kindness, but to forge chains of obligation, a debt that will be called due at a moment of their choosing, ensuring your compliance when it matters most to their grand design. These are not merely abstract strategies from a Renaissance treatise on statecraft. They are the living, breathing tactics employed in boardrooms, in social circles, even within the supposed sanctuary of personal relationships, by those who see others not as equals, but as instruments. To fail to recognize these maneuvers, to dismiss them as mere coincidence or unkind suspicion, is to willingly walk into the snare, to become yet another testament to the timeless efficacy of well-executed deception, a truth Machiavelli laid bare for all who dared to see. Why do these meticulously crafted deceptions so often find their mark, even against individuals of intelligence and good intention? The answer, as Machiavelli would assert, lies not only in the manipulator's cunning, the strategic mind of the fox, but also in the inherent vulnerabilities of human psychology, the very qualities that make us human, yet render us susceptible. Many wish to believe in the inherent goodness of others, to see sincerity in every smile, to trust until given undeniable proof otherwise. This idealism, noble though it may seem, is often the first gate breached by a calculating will. Then there is the profound discomfort most people feel with sustained suspicion or confrontation. The love of ease, the desire for harmonious interactions, can lead one to dismiss unsettling intuitions, to rationalize away troubling behaviors, to prefer a comfortable illusion over a difficult truth. The manipulator thrives in this space, relying on your reluctance to call out their subtle transgressions, your fear of appearing accusatory or uncharitable. They know that the burden of proof often falls upon the accuser, and they are masters at maintaining just enough ambiguity to sow doubt in your own perceptions. Furthermore, a lack of keen self-knowledge leaves one perilously exposed. If you do not understand your own deepest desires, your unspoken fears, your hidden vanities, how can you guard against one who makes it their business to perceive and exploit them? The manipulator often sees you more clearly than you see yourself, not with empathy, but with the cold, analytical gaze of a strategist assessing the terrain. Your unexamined biases become their roadmap, your emotional reactions their levers of control. Are you truly aware of the buttons they might press within you? This internal battle, the intuitive sense that something is wrong versus the conditioned desire to trust, to be polite, to avoid conflict, creates a paralysis that the manipulator skillfully exploits. They rely on your internal debate, your hesitation to advance their agenda. Machiavelli understood that indecision can be as fatal as a wrong decision. To be caught between the lion's strength to act and the fox's cunning to perceive the trap is to be rendered impotent, a perfect subject for unseen dominion. Consider the true cost of falling prey to such unseen dominion, the slow, insidious unraveling that occurs when you become a pawn in another's carefully orchestrated game. It begins, perhaps, with a series of small concessions, a minor compromise here, an overlooked boundary there, each one seeming insignificant in isolation. Yet cumulatively, they represent a gradual erosion of your agency, a subtle transfer of control, until you find your path dictated, your choices constrained, your very thoughts echoing narratives that were not originally your own. The impact on your self-trust can be devastating. As you begin to realize you've been deceived, you may question your own judgment, your ability to perceive reality accurately. This internal confusion is often a deliberate outcome, for a target unsure of their own mind is far easier to manage. Your confidence wanes, your initiative falters, and a pervasive sense of unease can settle over your life. A feeling of being perpetually off balance, reacting rather than acting, your energy sapped by an invisible drain. This is the tangled web Machiavelli warned of, spun from deceit and secured by your own ensnared will. Beyond the psychological toll, there are the tangible losses. opportunities squandered because your attention was diverted, resources depleted to serve another's ambition, relationships damaged or destroyed through implanted mistrust. The manipulator often leaves a trail of such wreckage, yet remains adept at appearing blameless, even a victim themselves. Machiavelli observed that the successful deceiver always finds those who are willing to be deceived, and the consequences for the latter are invariably harsh. A stark lesson in the unforgiving arithmetic of power. This is not mere misfortune. It is often the predictable outcome of failing to recognize and counter a predatory intelligence. The feeling of being outmaneuvered, of having your efforts turned against you, of watching someone else profit from your labor or your goodwill. This is the bitter fruit of unacknowledged manipulation. It is a profound loss of autonomy, a subjugation that occurs not through overt force, but through the silent, skillful exploitation of the very fabric of human interaction, a chilling testament to the power of unseen control. Yet within this stark understanding of the manipulator's art, as illuminated by the unsentimental genius of Machiavelli, lies not a cause for despair, but the very blueprint for your defense. For to know the methods of the fox is the first step in evading its snares. To understand the nature of the lion is to know when to stand firm. This is not an invitation to embrace cynicism, but a call to cultivate a robust, discerning prudence, the virtue Machiavelli prized as the hallmark of those who not only survive, but shape their own destinies. The shield of this prudence is forged from several elements. First, relentless observation. Learn to watch actions, for they speak far louder and more truthfully than any honeyed word or solemn promise. Note inconsistencies, mark patterns. Pay heed to that quiet, persistent intuition that whispers when something is amiss, even when the surface appears flawless. Second, a courageous realism. Accept human nature as it often is, self-interested, capable of deception, not as you wish it were in some idealized realm. This acceptance is not pessimism, it is the bedrock of effective strategy. Furthermore, cultivate foresight. The manipulator often thinks several moves ahead. You must learn to do the same, to anticipate the likely consequences of their actions and your own responses, to see the patterns not just in the present moment, but as they unfold over time. And crucially, strive for a state of emotional equilibrium when assessing threats. Passion, whether it be anger, fear, or even excessive affection, can cloud the very judgment you need to perceive clearly. Machiavelli understood that decisions made in the heat of emotion are seldom the wisest. This path, this Machiavellian way of seeing, is not about becoming cold or manipulative yourself. It is about stripping away the illusions that make you vulnerable, about arming your intellect to serve as a vigilant guardian of your own interests and well-being. It is the illumination that comes from daring to look at the world without flinching, recognizing its dangers not to be paralyzed by them, but to navigate them with skill, with foresight, and with a quiet, unshakable confidence born of true understanding. You cease to be a predictable target and become instead a discerning mind, aware of the game, and therefore capable of choosing not to be its pawn. And so the curtain descends, not on a comforting fable, but upon a starker, more illuminated stage of human affairs, as Machiavelli himself might have unveiled it. The often unsettling truths about the nature of manipulation, the masks men wear, and the silent wars waged for advantage, are not meant to leave you disheartened but armed. For to see the world with unblinded eyes, to recognize the subtle currents of ambition and deceit, is the first, most crucial step towards mastering your own ship in these often treacherous waters. What you carry forward from this is not a burden of cynicism, but the keen edge of discernment, the uneasy feeling of being outmaneuvered, the sting of betrayal, the confusion of veiled intentions. These need no longer be your bewildered fate. Instead, an inner strategist awakens, one capable of observing, analyzing, and recognizing the timeless game of power and influence as it plays out around you. This quiet understanding, this ability to see the wolf beneath the sheep's fleece, is a profound and resilient strength. Let this then be the wisdom that settles within you, a quiet and constant sentinel. In the grand theater of human ambition, the keenest eye and the most prudent heart are your strongest shield and surest guide. To navigate the world expecting only sunshine is to invite the storm. To understand that shadows are ever present is to learn how to walk safely, even through the darkest of valleys, preserving your purpose and your peace. This newfound clarity, this Machiavellian insight into the mechanics of manipulation, is not a one-time acquisition, but a living skill to be honed with each interaction, each observation. The world, with its ever-shifting alliances and its timeless human dramas, will continue to test your discernment. But now, you possess a more accurate map, a more reliable compass, empowering you to protect your interests, not through aggression, but through astute awareness and a calm, calculated response to the realities you face. If this journey into the unvarnished truths of human interaction has struck a chord, if you feel the stirring of a more vigilant, more empowered self, then let this understanding be a shared strength. Subscribe and join a company of minds dedicated to seeing the world as it is, that we might better navigate it. Comment below with your own observations, your own encounters with these timeless patterns, for in sharing our sight, we sharpen it. And if these lessons in discernment might shield another from becoming a victim, share this knowledge, for the art of not being deceived is a power best wielded by many.